And we're back with Gotham Knights building a brand new Gotham 400 years of history with the new Gotham Knights game. I watched a bit of it, then I decided to make a video on it, but I thought this was very interesting how they were going through and telling us a little bit about the history with this new game. And so far, I have to admit that I like this sense of building for the game, the world building for the game, I should say. But here, we're going to watch it, and I'll give my opinions more after it. Because, like I said, I didn't finish it. I only watched 4 or 5 minutes of it, and then I figured I should make a video on this.
In the 1650s, 5 families left Europe, eventually landing on the rain-swept islands that pepper the mouth of what would one day be called Gotham River. Those families, the Waynes, the Cobblepots, the Elliots, the Arkhams, and the Canes, would build a colonial fort together and sow the seeds of centuries of dominance in the area. Gotham City was born. The city quickly spread beyond its original bounds, developing 5 boroughs, and in each, one of those 5 founding families would take root. In the early days, the Canes established themselves on Gotham's natural harbour, now known as Historic Gotham, tying the family to their new country's military might, building ships and weapons of war. By the 1850s, Gotham had become a major trade hub, helped along by the industrialist Cobblepots and their smoke-belching Southside steel mills. Gotham continued to transform over time. In the 1920s, the Elliots took hold of the 20th century's newest means of control, mass media, and built downtown Gotham in a new Art Deco image. By the 1960s, Gotham had truly become a patchwork of industry and architecture. The Arkhams settled in North Gotham, building their famous asylum. Yes, it's in the game, and no, it's not as you've previously seen it. The Waynes, meanwhile, built their billions in New Gotham, helping advance the town into a new tech.
I love this little, storybook drawn style of artwork explaining this 400 years or so. Well, it's not 400 years, it's a little more than 400 years, but I really like how it's you're seeing these hand-drawn images as it progresses through, and the fact that it's the Canes, the Arkhams, the Waynes, the Cobblepots, the Elliots, all forming this city as it builds out. I think that's kind of neat, and it gives this game kind of a I don't know how to say it exactly, but a new scale and sense of depth you don't actually kind of see in the Arkham games. I mean, you get a sense of the world building within the Arkham games, but the Arkham games mostly build off of pre-existing knowledge of Batman's universe. I mean, it's not like, oh, you have to know who Batman is, and you have to know the whole story up until now to get this with Arkham. No, but it has a lot of it where it's you have to know Arkham Asylum, you have to know the Joker, you have to know Bane. They don't really break it down for you as much, and that's fine. That's what I'm talking about. They don't just make you have to know everything, but the world, how it's built, how it was put together, how it was shaped by some of the families and things like that, isn't something that's talked about or really shown in the Arkham series. It's more about how Batman shapes things, changes the criminals over time, which I like that little bit of gameplay, but this right here, it seems like they're building it from the ground up. There's actually a line later on that says they're not just giving you an open world to play in, they're filling this open world and making it a, well-rounded, I forget how they word it, but a well-rounded character. You're playing in this world that is more like a character than just an open world, and I love that fact so far. I'm not going to say that that Gotham Knights is going to be better than the Arkham series. And I'm not going to say that the Arkham series is going to be better than Gotham Knights. I'm going to say this. I'm going to play Gotham Knights and then give my opinion on Gotham Knights and how it compares to the Arkham series. And I know that, that's kind of counterintuitive to what Gotham Knights is trying to do. They're trying to build their own world. They're trying to build their own game, basically, from the Batman IP. But you really can't help but compare the two because, there hasn't been a Batman game as hyped up as the Arkham series, that hasn't been as influential on countless other video games. Hell, I was just playing Sleeping Dogs, the definitive edition. That took aspects from the Arkham series in its combat design to a point. Triangle to counter, square to punch. Assassin's Creed. Almost every Assassin's Creed uses the same formula from the Arkham series. Okay, granted, I don't know if Assassin's Creed's the first game came before Arkham or if Arkham came before. I just know that Arkham Knight came out in 2009. But that being said, Arkham Knight, or not Arkham Knight, the Arkham series has been influential on several games throughout time after its conception. This game even takes the basic premises of that game, but adds upon it in their own way. So, it's not fair to compare them because they're trying to be their own thing, but in the same breath, you can't help but compare them because they share a little bit in common. But I'm gonna wait, play both of or play the new game, probably even play the original game, see how both sets are. I already uploaded the first episode of Arkham Asylum not too long ago. I probably upload the second one following from, or not, at some point, and try to get at least through the first three. I may try to do Arkham Origins. I do have the PlayStation Pass, whatever. The PlayStation's equivalent to Game Pass, since I can't remember if it's what the different tiers are. There's PlayStation Plus, Essential, and Premium or Platinum or something like that. I got the Platinum, Premium, whatever it's called, and I'm going to turn around and possibly play that. I don't know how the streaming works too well, so I'll have to figure out how to do that, and then turn around and play the games outright, or play the game outright. And I'll probably just stick to, if I do go to play it, I'll probably play it in order of release, not order of chronologically. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because I already started the Arkham Asylum, because prior to this, there was no way to play Origins. And yes, I will admit that Origins and Night are my favorite two out of the games, or out of the series, out of all the games. Because them two have more essence of Batman in them. The aspect of, Batman being scary to the criminals, that's what I enjoy about the mythos of Batman. The criminals, either don't know he's real or just scared shitless of him for the sake that it's a dude that dresses in a bat suit that will beat you to a pulp versus, either outright kill you or just drop you off to the police. He's going to beat the crap out of you, then drop you off to the police. And I love that aspect. Now, with Gotham Knights, Batman, they said it in a previous video that Batgirl is like the surrogate to Batman in this video game. So the people that are looking forward to having Batman's playstyle in this or Batman is a playable character, or play style of Batman in this game, could have that with Batgirl. My only thing is, I'll probably just play Red Hood for the most part until I have him, maxed out. I may even dabble at playing the other ones, but Red Hood's the main reason that I want to play this game. So, that being said, I'll probably just stick to Red Hood for the most part. And even though there's a lot of things wrong with the Red Hood that fans have pointed out, such as the jumping on soul energy crap. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. So I will not be using it unless there's a tutorial showing you how to use it. And then, yeah, I will use the tutorial jumping on soul energy just for the tutorial. But if not, and it is a requirement in certain parts of the game, then I may end up having to use it more. I don't like that. I am not, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I will use it if I have to. Like I said, now if it's fun, I may use it, and I'll just say, hey, it's fun. I'll use it, but I'm not gonna call it fucking soul energy. That's just, stupid. Anyway, enough of that. Enough of that. We'll get into that more later. Anyway, back to the video.
Logical age, which brings us to the present day, and the Gotham you'll be exploring as Batman's proteges in Gotham Knights, an open world as soaked in history as it is by neon light and vigilante-friendly shadow. Warner Brothers Games Montreal created that history early in production. A whole...
Is that a new suit? That looks like a new Robin suit that we haven't seen before. I mean, I've been keeping up little by little. There was a video released, like 16 minutes, the first 16 minutes of gameplay. I refuse to watch it because I want to go in and see gameplay, see all that as much, or as little as possible, so when I go into the game, I'm not, I hate to say the word spoiled, have things spoiled to me, but I know the gameplay is going to be square, triangle, and probably the triggers to shoot things. Or throw batarangs. I know this. But, I don't want too much of, like, the gameplay story elements. Like, they get a note, as far as I've seen, they were given notes, or a message by Batman, that when put all of the story, or their messages together, it created not blueprints, but a list of what to do and what is going on, so they could go from, point A to point B to find all the way to Z, where Batman went, who killed Batman, and possibly bring these assholes to justice. I don't want to see too much of that. I mean, I don't mind them going to a random gang in the city that's patrolling or something and beating the shit out of them and showing stuff off, like the Red Hood and Nightwing. Well, the Nightwing trailer with a little bit of Red Hood hinted at it. That stuff I will watch. I'll have no problem. Like this, I have no problem watching the, building Gotham, 400 years of Gotham City world building stuff. I don't have a problem with it. It's just I don't want too much of, like, the main story, what we're going to play. Like with Arkham City, with our Arkham Asylum, I don't want to, I don't want too much information that, oh, we brought Joker back to the asylum, turns out he's running the place. I didn't want to hear that when I was getting ready to play those games. And same way with this, I don't want to hear too much of why or what is going on in the like the grand scheme of the story. But, like, the background stuff like this, I have no problem with. Gameplay wise, seeing how they move, how they the combat wise, I don't have a problem with that. It's just the main story that I kind of want to remain, you know, unknowing about. But I wonder if that is a new suit. I mean, I know I got off on a little tangent, but I wonder if that's a new suit. I haven't seen it. I mean, a lot of the videos that I have watched, I haven't seen that one specifically. I've seen a few, and so far, either the Jim Lee exclusive suit, their transmog suits, or the other, like, classic looking suits. Those two are my favorite, and I can't remember what those other ones are. The Beyond just kind of look a little weird, what I've seen of them. The Shinobi ones, they're a cool concept, but I'm not going to use them. On some of the basic game looks, they're neat, but where's the Red Hood's jacket? That was, like, iconic. They'd be like putting Dick in this game and giving him, I don't know, excuse me, his, like, classic costume, but then skipping over one of his most iconic suits, which is the 90s. You know, having his first appearance, skipping the 90s, having the next suit, the modern suit, but missing that, you know, the mullet wearing, gold, like, tool crap that was on his suit, with the fringe on the boots kind of styled suit, and, you know, not having that in there. I mean, or is, you know, I say that as an example because I don't know too much about I'm more of a Marvel fan. I mean, I've stated that on the channel, but, you know, or like having, this is Tim Drake's Robin, not having, I think he was the Red Robin. If not, I apologize. Like, not having his Red Robin skin in the game, even though you know, it's Tim Drake, you should have that. It's part of, or like having Batgirl without a bat symbol on her chest. It's, like, iconic. It's part of her suit. You should have, you know, the bat symbol on her chest. You should also have, you know, the Red Hood's jacket. And I think only one of them that I've seen has the jacket, and that's what it throws me off. I mean, I can do with not having the red Batman symbol on the chest, even though that's kind of iconic, a suit without that. But you gotta have the jacket. The jacket kind of makes Red Hood, you know, under the Red Hood, he had that brown leather jacket. In Teen Titans, which I haven't finished yet, but when I seen of it, it was really good. He had that light brown leather jacket. And everything I've seen from the comic books, he had that brown leather jacket or that freaking white black hoodie with the red hood. And he was using the crowbar, the same crowbar that Joker used to kill him. I love that. And I hope there's a reference to that. Like, he has the, you know, the crowbar or something. That would be cool. Anyway. Back to the
timeline for a whole new version of Gotham City. And it isn't merely window dressing. The timeline informs everything from the plot, to the gameplay, to the game's biggest mystery, the Court of Owls conspiracy. The team didn't just build an open world to play in, it's truly trying to build a city.
If Mark, Mr. Cartoon Machado, didn't have the fighting spirit to draw out his passion, he never would have perfected the street look that made him a street legend. That's the fighting spirit. That's what makes a lion. Modelo, root for those with a fighting spirit.
I apologize. I should have done that prior, but it was looking kind of pixelated.
Key to this take on Gotham are those 5 boroughs and the worldview of the families that historically...
One thing. I thought Bloodhaven was a borough of Gotham. If not, then, you know, I don't know my Gotham history or DC history too much.
Controlled them.
So for us, the 5 boroughs, you know, it started with the families. The families moved there, they built imposing structures within those districts. So then we build around that to where the identity for those districts really is based off of that family.
Within those boroughs, the team tries to tell stories without simply having someone speak them out loud.
If you visit a city in real life, it's hard to tell some of that history. So because we're making a game, really what we want to do is kind of obviously reveal some of that stuff. So there's a lot of areas that are kind of stuck in time, like even something as, kind of generic as construction, like it becomes interesting when it's halted construction or it's now abandoned and overgrown or it's ruins. All those things are more interesting for the player than, just a modern city. So we tried to have a lot of those areas where it's almost stuck in time so the player can really experience what it was back then a little bit too and see how the city evolved.
The team has historical and gameplay basis for every new environment. Take the Cauldron, built into the Cobblepot's lower Gotham area.
We always would like to tell a story with every borough, and there's one specific one that is not necessarily related to the family, but is an effect of some of the projects that those families undertook, which was a mining operation that happened in a riverbed. So they decided to wall off two sides of a portion in the water, and they dredged it for mining operations. It would attract workers for the mining operation. It was low-cost housing. It remained like actually a slum.
The Cauldron's history is written into its walls, with tumble-down buildings and cramped, unplanned streets, all set in the shadow of the more prosperous districts around it. But all of this is a distinct gameplay choice too.
This spot is kind of like a transition area between the financial district and the south side. So we have like two very different themes, while being in a third theme that is very organic, has a complete different way for the player to navigate over. It's a lot more parkouring. So the player always has the choice to pick the best tool and the best navigation verb to be as efficient as possible. And with different neighborhoods that will give you different experiences.
PlayStation Store Summer Sale is live. LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga Deluxe Edition, Call of Duty, Vanguard, W2K22, and more games. Grab a deal before August 3rd.
This interplay of history and gameplay can be seen across the city. The once beautiful Robinson Park is a symbol of the city's decay, but it's also an open space where your usual stealth tactics may no longer work in the same way. The enormous Elliott Center is a literally gilded reminder of the family patriarch, complete with a museum exhibit about the family inside. And it's also a complex, multi-layered bit of vertical level design built to house the Mr. Freeze boss battle later in the game. And it's not just that timeline that acts as history here either. While this is a new take on Gotham, it includes many references to the comic books it's drawing from. Of course, there are buildings you'll know, right down to deep-cut references like Noonan's Sleazy Bar from Garth Ennis's Hitman series, but the very fabric of Gotham itself acts as an Easter egg in places. Perhaps most interesting is that this Gotham has a public history and a secret history. We already know the game will center on the Court of Owls, a shadowy, manipulative group born of the founding families. Gotham itself will reflect that conspiratorial past too.
One of the things that we love about the Court of Owls, aside from the fact that, that it's a new, fresh addition to the Batman canon, is that they represent a threat that is so embedded and so intrinsic to Gotham City that even Batman doesn't know about it. And the notion of a threat that is so intimately tied to a city that he considers to be his city, that he knows like the back of his hand, that he's been patrolling for, literally decades at this point. That's a very intimidating and scary idea. With that in mind, what we knew is that we needed to give you a sense of Gotham's history in order to be able to show all the ways in which the court is embedded in that. That feeling that Gotham is kind of an adversary, and that Court of Owls is the embodiment of that, the personification of it.
The phrase commonly used at the studio for this is that they didn't just build up, creating those hugely visible landmark buildings and stories for every new district, but that they also built down.
We started to imagine how the form of the city could be affected by that, and it started kind of helped suggest a geography, an urban geography to the city, going all the way back to like the late 1600s. And then we started to think, okay, well, what were the major events in history that they would have reacted to? Is it the Revolutionary War? Is it the kind of exploitation of the West, like the building of the railroads? Like all of these ideas became part of that conversation and allowed us to kind of build layers of accreted history. And we built it up and we built it down. Like we said, okay, what's buried under the city? Like what are the hidden secrets that you can find in the course of investigating the Court of Owls?
Naturally, the team isn't talking too much about what those buried secrets might be, but we see hints of it as we're shown Gotham's open world. A seemingly nondescript building might be a gang hideout, which leads to a tunnel system that brings you into an exit into Gotham that you would never have guessed at, for example.
We want the Court of Owls to feel like they're involved in everything. If you were to go to a major city in North America, like often they'll build a city on top of another one. Like Chicago, like they had the fire, they just built on top of it because it's not worth like rebuilding, destroying and rebuilding. So what the undergrounds allow us to do is kind of reveal that cross section of the city. So we have areas like that where you drop in, you keep going and you see things that you didn't know were there, that you didn't know the city was built on top of. And I think that's a really cool element. We try to allow the player to see kind of behind the scenes of the city, go under the surface, and as well as seeing it from up high from the bigger landmarks.
The result of all this work is that this take on Gotham aims to feel like a legitimate place, not just a sandbox for spandex crime fighting. We've heard before that this will be the largest Gotham ever made in game form, but that's not what the developers are proud of.
We made a very big Gotham City, but what I think is really unique to Gotham Knights is the density of it. Sometimes I will be searching for something or fighting a crime and not realize how close to me something else is happening that I'm going to want to interact with afterwards or before. There's just such a depth of nooks and crannies to explore inside our city, and I think that that's really unique to Gotham Knights.
The idea of a Gotham packed with references, miniature histories, and sinister mysteries is alluring. After all, this is the promise of a town with real backstory, that it's not just the people living there who'll help tell the story, but the city itself. Gotham has been many things to many people. It's appeared in comics, movies, and gaming worlds. It's been reinvented repeatedly, traveling through time with us from block-color 40s issues of Detective Comics to the grey monoliths of Christopher Nolan's trilogy. But all of those versions of Gotham have been snapshots of a city in its current form. Perhaps the most interesting thing about Gotham Knights' version is that we won't just see the city as it is, but hopefully learn what it's been.
That's cool.
We'll be covering Gotham Knights and offering exclusive footage all...
I don't know. That is just amazing what they've turned around and they have built, what they're trying to build with this story, with this game. Let's turn that down a bit. And, have it go on the background again.
In the 1650s, 5 families left Europe.
As I said, I think this game so far is building like one of the best, not only open world, but character-driven, like the city is a character, and it is also driving what we see, what we uncover, what we see through the eyes of our 4 characters, and I am definitely looking forward to that. Because of the fact, I liked Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, I liked City, I liked Knight, I liked Origins. All of them were really, really good, and the world they built was just amazing as well. But I don't know, like when you're going through Arkham City, you remember you have to go through Wonder Tower.
By the 1960s, Gotham had truly
and you have to
patchwork of industry and architecture. The Arkhams
like see Wonder City and find the Lazarus Pit and deal with that whole thing with
the Waynes, meanwhile, built their billions in New Gotham, helping advance the town.
Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, however you prefer to say it.
Gotham you'll be exploring as Batman's proteges in Gotham Knights, an open world
just
soaked in history
that little,
as it is by
bit of detail, that little bit of world building with the demons, or the head of the demon, or the demons,
a whole new timeline for a whole new version
the
of
the
Gotham
group,
City.
the
And it isn't
the
merely window dressing. The timeline
Ray,
informs
Ray Shao
everything from the
Ghul's
plot to the
little
gameplay to
group,
the game's biggest mystery,
demons.
the Court of Owls conspiracy. The team didn't just build an open
And you
world
get a
to
little
play in,
more of that when
it's
you
truly
go
trying to
to
build a
Night
city.
and you're dealing with the side quest, and you run into Ray Shao Ghul again. But you also get more little world
To this take
building,
on Gotham are those 5
intricate
boroughs and the
details with,
worldview of the families
like
that historically
Iron
controlled them.
Heights,
So for
the
us,
Blimp
the 5
prison,
boroughs,
where you
it
fight
started with
Killer
the
Croc, and you
families.
get,
The
after
families
the
moved there,
asylum,
they
they,
built
this
imposing
group got him
structures
and
within those
experimented
districts.
on him,
So
or
then
after
we
City, it
built
was after City.
around that,
This group
where the
captured him and
identity for
started to
those
experiment
districts
on
really
him
is
because
based off
he
of
could
that
regrow
family.
any
Within those
limb
boroughs, the team tries to tell
or
stories
whatever, and you
without
had that little
simply having
detail
someone
with
say them out
Cash.
loud.
If you visit the city in real life,
Talking
it's
about,
hard to tell some of
yeah,
that
I'd feel
history.
bad
So
for
because
him,
we're making
but
a
my
game,
hand
really
don't
what we
grow
want
back.
to do is kind of obviously
That I
reveal
liked.
some
I
of
thought that
stuff.
was
So
neat. The
there's a
little
lot of
bit
areas that are kind
of
of stuck in time,
world building or
like
world
even
connection.
something is
Hey, or
kind
not
of
world
generic
connection,
as
world
construction. Like it
continuance
becomes interesting
building.
when it's halted
And I
construction
love
or
that. That was
it's now
awesome.
abandoned
But
and overgrown.
I
or
wanted
it's
more.
ruins.
I
All
wanted a
those
whole.
things
I
are
wanted
more
the
interesting
city
for the player
to be,
than
alive,
just
living,
a modern
breathing,
city.
and you see
So
where
we
it
tried to have a
began,
lot of those
where
areas
it
where it's
is,
almost stuck
and you
in
see
time,
how it
so the
got
player
there.
can
You've seen
really
how it was
experience
shaped,
what it
and not
was
just by
back then
Batman,
a little bit too,
Joker,
and see how
but
the city
the entire
The team
thing.
has
And
historical
that's what I'm
and
looking
gameplay
forward to this
bases for
game.
every new environment.
I mean,
Take
this
the
is the first
Cauldron,
time they've
built into
actually
the
explained
Cobblepot's
some of the
lower Gotham
history, but
area.
they said
We
that it
always
was a
would like to
rich
tell a story
filled,
with every borough, and there's one specific one that is not necessarily related to the
game
family,
in
but
prior
is an
interviews,
effect
and I
of
am
the project that
totally
those
looking
families
forward to that
undertook,
because
which was a mining operation that
I
happened
love
in a
that world building.
riverbed.
I
So
kind
they
of want
decided
more
to
of that. I
wall off two
mean, when I
sides of
look
a
forward to
portion in the water, and they dredged it
like
for
video
mining
games,
operations. It would
movies,
attract
stories.
workers for the
I
mining
don't just
operation,
want
and it was
interesting
low-cost housing.
characters. I love
It remained
interesting
like actually a
characters
slum.
The
that,
Cauldron's history is
grow and
written into its
change
walls,
and,
with tumble-down buildings and cramped, unplanned streets,
become
all set in the shadow of the
different
more
or stay the
prosperous
same
districts
or
around it. All of
become
this is a distinct gameplay
more
choice
of
too.
This
however
spot is
they
kind of like a
feel.
transition area between
That I like
financial
that,
district
but I
and
also
the
like the
south side.
world
So we
building
have like
and
two very
changing
different
around
themes
them.
while being in the third
Parks and
theme that is
Recreations,
very
recently a
organic,
show that I
has a
watched
complete
that was
different
very
way for the player
good, but
to
the world
navigate over.
changed
It's a lot
around
more
them,
parkouring.
and
So
the
the player
characters
always
had
has the
to
choice
change
to
with
pick the
them.
best tool and the best navigation
And
work
not
to
only
be
did
as
the characters
efficient as
change,
possible.
but the
And
world
with
changed, and
different
the
neighborhoods that
whole
will give you
story,
different
the whole
experiences.
show
interplay of
just
history and
got
gameplay
better
can be
and
seen
better over
across the city.
time.
The once
But in the
beautiful
same
Robinson
principle,
Park is a symbol of the
I
city's
love the
decay,
Arkham
but it's also
games,
an
but
open
their
space where
worlds
your
stayed
usual stealth
similar
tactics may no
to
longer
how
work
it
in the same
started.
way. The enormous Elliott Center
I
is a
mean,
literally gilded
there was
reminder of the
changes
family
to it, yes.
matriarch,
It was like
complete with a
House.
museum exhibit about
House,
the family
MD,
inside, and
this
it's
TV
also
show with
a complex,
this
multi-layered
actor
bit
named
of
Hugh
vertical
Laurie.
level
A lot of
design
people may
built
know
to
it, a lot
house
of
the
people
Mr.
may
Freeze
not.
boss battle
But
later in the game.
it's
And
basically the
not just that
hospital. I
timeline
mean,
that
yes, they
acts
did
as
go
history
adventure in
here
other
either. While this
places,
is a new take on
and they
Gotham,
did
it
show,
includes many
different things, but the
references to the
world
comic
didn't
books
really
it's drawing
change. The
from. Of
hospital
course,
kind of
there are
stayed the
buildings
same.
you'll know, right down to
They got
deep-cut
new
references like
board
Newland's Sleazy
members,
Bar
they've
from
got
Garth
other
Ennis's
things, and
Hitman
like this right
series,
here,
but
this
the very
the
fabric
Mormon, or the bar that they just mentioned. I love that little interesting thing that they're adding from the comic books into this game, and it's going to be, either play a part in the game. It sounds like it'll play a part in the game, or it may not. Like in the Marvel Spider-Man game, you have to go visit the bar with no name, and you get a little bit of information for it, but Spider-Man doesn't actually go into it. You send your little drone into it, and you get to see the world with the criminals, going around, interacting things, doing what they would do in that bar. And I loved that little bit of, world building. I want more of that. And, no offense, but a lot of newer games are all multiplayer driven piles of shit. No offense to those games. Like Multiverse. There's not really a story to it. It's just you going in and fighting either your friends or somebody random online and teams, solo or free for all. And to me, it's just, what? Where's the story? I mean, the last couple of games that we've gotten that have like really been story driven, single player, or co-op it could be co-op games, is like Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker saga. The Marvel or the Spider-Man Marvel or Marvel Spider-Man games were, story driven, but they were only single player. They weren't co-op. Tiny Tina's Wonderland could be entirely co-op, but it was a single story driven game with a world that built around it to a point. But like that, I want more
Of Gotham itself acts as an Easter egg
games
in
like
places.
that.
Perhaps most
That are,
interesting is that this Gotham has a public
story
history
driven,
and a secret history.
world
We already know the game
building
central to Court of
games
Owls,
like
a
this.
shadowy, manipulative group born
I'm
of
not,
the founding families.
I'm not
Gotham
saying
itself
do
will
not make
reflect
them
that
multiplayer.
conspiratorial
I'm not
past
saying
too.
I don't want
One of the things that
multiplayer
we
games.
love about the Court of Owls, aside from
I
the fact
want
that
this
it's
game,
a
but I
new,
want it to
fresh
be,
addition to
have,
the Batman canon,
it can be
is that
co-op. The entire
they
game can be
represent
played
a threat
in
that is
co-op.
so embedded and so intrinsic to Gotham
And
City that
to
even
me,
Batman
that is
doesn't
interesting.
know about it.
I
And
love
the notion
that.
of a threat that
But
is so intimately tied
I
to
don't
a city
want,
that he
another
considers to
game
be
where,
his
like,
city,
I don't
that
want
he
Avengers.
knows, like, the
I
back
don't
of
want
his
this
hand,
game
and
to
he's been
become
killing
like
for, literally
Avengers, where you
decades
can
at
have
this
4
point. That's a
people,
very intimidating
and it's
scary
more,
idea.
do
With
this
that in
mission,
mind,
do
what
that
we
mission,
knew is
do
that
this
we
mission,
needed
do
to
that
give
mission.
you
Oh,
a sense of
we'll throw a
Gotham's
little bit of story
history
crap in
in
there.
order to be able to
You've
show
got
all
it.
the ways
There,
in which
there
the
you go.
court
I don't
is
want that.
embedded
I
in
want a
that.
story
That
that,
feeling that
I
Gotham
want
is
a world
kind of an
building,
adversary, and
single
that
player
Court of Owls is
driven
the
story.
embodiment of that, the personification of it.
I
The
mean,
phrase commonly used in the
not
studio
single
for this
player.
is that
It
they
would be
didn't
cool
just
to
build them
have,
up,
you and
creating
your,
those hugely
a
visible
friend of
landmark
yours,
buildings
or a
with
mate
stories
of
for every new
yours,
district,
or
but
a
they
buddy,
also
a
built
pal, whatever
down.
you want to
We
call
started to
your
imagine how the form of the
friends,
city could be affected by that.
turn around
And it
and be
started
able to
kind of
play
help suggest a
that
geography,
with
an urban
these
geography to the city, going all the way back to like
games.
the late
And
1600s.
I know
And then we
this is a
started to think, okay, well,
PS5
what were the major
exclusive.
events in
I
history
mean, a
that
lot of my
that they
mates
would have
don't
reacted
have
to? You know, is it the
a
Revolutionary
PlayStation
War? Is
5,
it
which
the
is
kind of
going to be,
exploitation of the West, like
a
building
pain.
the railroads? Like all of these ideas
But
became
I
part of that
still like the
conversation
fact that you
and
can do
allowed us
this
to kind of
co-op, you can
build
do this
layers
single,
of accreted
and
history.
I love the
And we
fact
built it
that
up and we built it down. Like we said,
you
okay,
can have a
what's
drop-in,
buried under the
drop-out
city?
co-op
Like, what are
system.
the hidden secrets
Like,
that you can
you
find in
you
the
could be
course of
playing
investing
Red
in
Hood, you
Gotham?
could be playing
Naturally,
Batwoman, you
the
could be
team
playing
isn't talking too
whoever,
much about
and
what
your
those
friend
buried
can drop
secrets might
in
be,
as
but we see
Robin,
hints of it
Red
as we're
Hood,
shown Gotham's open world.
Batgirl,
A
or
seemingly
Nightwing,
nondescript
and
building
you
might be a
can
gang
run
hangar,
through the
which leads to a
game,
tunnel system that brings you into an exit into
or
Gotham
run through a
that you
few
would never
missions.
have
Say your
guessed
friend
at,
or
for
you have to
example.
go, your
We
friend can
want the Court of
continue,
Owls to
and
feel
another
like they're
person can
involved
drop
in
in.
everything. If you
That
were
would
to
be
go
cool.
to a
I
major
love
city
that
in
aspect,
North
and I
America,
want,
like often
I,
they'll
I
build a
really
city
want
on
this
top
game
of
to
another
succeed,
one.
doing
Like
it more, like a
Chicago,
Gotham
like they had the
Knights 2,
fire, they
or
just built on top of
something
it because
like
it's not
that.
worth like
I don't know
rebuilding,
what they're gonna
destroying, and
do.
rebuilding.
I don't know how the
So
story's gonna
what the
play out. They
undergrounds
may
allow us
not
to
be
do is kind
able
of
to do a
reveal
sequel,
that cross
but
section of the city.
either way,
So
I'd
we
want
have
to see how
areas
this
like
world
that where
builds
you
out.
know you
I want
drop
to see
in,
how this world
keep
plays.
going, and you see
I'm
things
generally
that you
excited
didn't
for it, and I
were
know
there
I
that you
shouldn't
didn't know the
because
city was built on top of.
the
And I
last
think
set
that's
of
a really
games that
cool
I've played
element.
have
We try to
really,
allow the
really
player to
let
see
me
kind of
down.
behind the scenes of the city,
I
go
mean,
under the surface,
Marvel's
and,
Avengers is a
as
good
well as seeing
game,
it
but
from
it's
up
not.
high from the bigger landmarks.
The result of all
It's
this
not
work
what I
is that this
want.
take on Gotham
It's
aims
not
to
what
feel like a legitimate
I don't think
place,
it's as
not just a
good as it
sandbox for
could be.
spandex crime fighting. We've heard before that this will be the largest Gotham ever made
Star
in game form.
Wars,
But
Lego
that's not
Star
what the
Wars,
developers are
the
proud of.
Skywalker
We made a very
Saga
big
doesn't
Gotham City,
actually
but what I think is really unique to
have
Gotham Knights
online
is the
multiplayer,
density.
which I think would have made it
Sometimes I
the
will
best
be searching for something or fighting a crime
game
and not realize
so
how
far.
close to me something else is happening that I'm going to want to interact
I
with
don't
afterwards or before.
I haven't played
There's
too many
just
new games.
Such
I mean,
a
Tiny Tina
depth
was
of
good,
nooks and
but
crannies to explore
it
inside
it
our
wasn't,
city.
you know,
And I
great.
think that's
So, you know,
really
I was
unique
excited
to Gotham.
for it, kind of let me
The
down.
idea
It
of
was
a
good,
Gotham packed
don't
with
get me wrong, it
references,
was
miniature
good,
histories,
kept me
and sinister
entertained, but it
mysteries
wasn't,
is alluring.
it didn't
After
scratch
all,
the itch that
this
I
is
was
the
looking
promise of a
for.
town with real
Now,
backstory
I'm
that is
hoping hoping
not
this
just the people
will.
living there who help tell the story, but the city itself. Gotham has been many things.
I'm really
to
hoping it will,
It's appeared
and
in
that's what
comics,
scares me.
movies, and gaming worlds.
Because
It's
I'm
been
getting my
reinvented
hopes up too
repeatedly,
high,
traveling
and
through
that
time
it's
with us
going
from
to
block
just
color 40s issues of
completely
Detective
fall
Comics to
flat.
the grey monoliths of
But
Christopher Nolan's
I don't
trilogy.
know.
But all of those versions of Gotham have been snapshots
We'll
of
see.
the
I
city
also
in its
have
current
Saints
form.
Row
Perhaps the most
pre-ordered,
interesting thing about
and
Gotham
we're gonna
Knights
see
version is
if
that we won't
Saints
just see the
Row,
city as it is,
the
but hopefully
reboot,
learn
is
what it's
any
been.
good, or if it'll, scratch the itch that I'm looking for.
We'll be covering Gotham Knights.
Just replay.
In the 1650s, 5 families
If
left
it'll,
Europe,
scratch the
eventually
itch that I'm
landing on the
looking
rain-swept
for.
islands that
I will be getting Ragnarok. I will also be getting The Last of Us Part 1 remake, because I'm a fan of the Last of Us series. I still haven't played 2, and I didn't play the DLC for the first one, which I know I'm kicking myself in the ass right now for not playing it. But I want to play those. I want to, I hope the remake comes out with the DLC so I can play all of it, and then play the part 2, which will be part of, either the same game engine or similar game engines, so they're not going to feel too off from each other, which is fine. I'm going to be getting the Callisto Protocol, which, again, I hope that's good. That should be like a... from what I hear, it's supposed to be like a darker version of the Dead Space games. So, let's hope it is. It's the same team, so I'm sure it's going to be good. I'm also going to be getting God of War Ragnarok. I think I already said that, but I played 2018. I don't like 2018 nearly as much as I love the original games. But that's only because I played the original games way, way too much. I played the demo for God of War 1 in 2005. Back, if you remember when Game Informer came with demo discs that you could play on your like PlayStation 2 or like Xbox. Well, I got it for as a PlayStation exclusive, but I got the disc in the little cardboard that comes inside the magazine. It only had from the opening cinematic to after you kill the Hydra, the big boss Hydra that you pull down on a spike. That was all that I had in it, but I played that and played that and played that until it came out. And, I played those games, so I really love those games. So I'm hoping that, God of War Ragnarok looks good, is good. Then the Dead Space remake I'm looking forward to getting, and Rockstar's Suicide Squad I'm looking forward to getting. Marvel Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine also, but I just don't want to get my hopes too high up on Gotham Knight, and I feel that I'm already am. Some of those games, like God of War Ragnarok, if it doesn't turn out 100% amazing, I'm not gonna lose sleep over that. But this game, as hyped as I got for this game, I don't want to be disappointed. That's the sad part. I mean, I don't know. We're just going to have to wait. There's 70 days until October 25th. I believe it comes out, which isn't actually too far from my birthday. It's like a week and a half from there. So we'll see how it is. We can play it, and we'll keep up to date with, well, I say keep up to date. We'll, cover different things like this throughout the months until its release. You want me to go back and talk about the combat trailers and my opinions on them? I can. If you want me to go back and playing through Arkham, talk about why plans for Gotham Knights or even the Suicide Squad game, I can. I have no problem with that. And I can also go back and finish 100%ing the Skywalker game if you're looking forward to that as well. Jane Foster, the Jane Foster news got 64 views. That was the most I've ever gotten for views. I'm going to say this. I'm happy about that. I mean, That's exciting. Yeah, I mean, for being a small YouTube channel with like only 20 videos and the majority of my videos only getting like 15 views, that's exciting. But I I still can't believe that 64 people even watched one of my videos. Excited about that. But more Jane Foster videos will come with Marvel's Avengers. I've been having a problem with Marvel's Avengers recently. The game's just, I think, slowly dying. But I'll cover more information. But you know, it's all in the future right now. So please like, subscribe, if you feel like it. I mean, I'd appreciate it. I mean, like, watching my videos was amazing, and I appreciate that. So, thank you to everyone that's watches my videos, or subscribes to my channel. It's amazing. And anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, mates.